too, so doing things a little different. But anyway, when I first got started, I started off with these were given to me by my local welding shop. I went in, I read Joel Salatin's grass-fed beef book, Salad Bar Beef, and he said, you know, just get these are MIG welding spools that are empty. They were done with them. They were nice enough to donate them to me. You wrap I was using just regular wire, 16 gauge. You can go lighter. I don't like to use anything less than 16 gauge electric fence wire anymore. And I'm starting to put in a bunch of permanent high tensile, which is, it's hard to manage, but once you learn it, it's great. So anyway, I was just using these. I fixed up some knobs and some reels and stuff, kind of try to make them a little bit more like this. And I'll still use these in places I don't have permanent fence yet, but I leave these up. This stuff, you know, I don't care about it as much as my 3-to-1 geared reels, so leaving it out, not as huge of a deal. This is just an electric cord coil I got at the hardware store. This one's a little bit more expensive than I realized. I thought it was $9. I think it was like 3 times that. I wouldn't probably, you know, they're handy. They've got that knob on them. And this, if you can find the closed ones, they're good. By closed, I mean they look like this. They don't have these holes. If you're handling them hot, which I don't recommend, but if you are handling them hot, these will shock you if you're not paying attention. And then I just put these clips on them. I started off with just the regular, all the stuff from Orscheln's. It was Gallagher wire. With the black wire is just the regular stainless steel wire. Then I went up to the turbo wire, which is a mixed metal wire, which makes a huge shocking difference in the ability to stop and contain your animal. And again, the reason that I like hot wire, if it's done well, you get a big fencer. Probably hear mine clicking in the background. I got the door open. Big fencer, mixed metal wire, or big thick steel wire. You want those animals to stay where you put them. It's about control. You know, you got to keep your animals in. It's safer for you, for the people that are driving down the road. I mean, you've got to contain your animals. And the whole point behind electric fence is to help you control them. And you want them to be where you left them when you get back the next day or whatever. So I don't like just the turbo wire anymore. It's been good. I don't have any issues with it. But it'll pull in two a lot easier if a deer runs through your fence, or if cattle are chewing on it. If I forget to, back in the day, it hasn't happened in a long time, but if you leave one staying out, the cattle are attracted to the white wires, they'll chew through that. If you get wraps up on your 3-to-1 geared reel, you're a lot more likely to break it. Those are all management errors, but it's not gonna. The main thing is it's not gonna last as long as the braided wire. And I would go when I go back. I'll probably never buy this stuff again. I will go strictly with braided wire, and that's a braided mixed metal wire. So that's kind of my transition there. And then I got started with Orscheln's. I do not recommend this, but this is, again, you know, everybody's got to start somewhere, and easiest thing to do is drive to your local farm store, find something like this, and put it in the ground and go. You know, and getting started is the most important thing. But now I won't touch these if I don't have to. I got a garage full of them. The black ones are better than the white ones. I'll clip in a video. Yesterday I shot a video of them falling apart. The white ones I've got, they last about a year and a half max, and then your cattle are out, or your livestock's out. These tabs break off. You can see this one's missing 3 already. You can tape them up, and you can go a little while longer, but they're just, the whole point of electric fence is control. With these, you have the illusion of control, but most of the time, after a year, you're going to come back, something's going to be out. The calf walked under it, just snapped it off. They're just very brittle. So I don't like those at all. So this option, this is just a fiberglass rod. It's real thin. They don't have much flexibility or much durability to them, rigidity. I've tried these with sheep fencing. If you're going to leave them out and run cattle next to them, they're fine. And I like them for that. But if I can get a bigger rod, especially if I'm going permanent fence, I get a bigger rod. I've been using Timeless for that, but You know, you can stick them in, you can pull them out, they last forever. If you leave them up, no big deal. They're painted. You can get clips for them if you're going to leave regular wires on them for a while. And for cattle, they're okay. But pulling them in, putting them out every day, not the best option. So I ended up buying a bunch of these. That was my next step. And these are the same fiberglass rod, but they've got these plastic or poly or whatever clips on them. This side's for tape, this side's for rope, or I don't know. Well, I'm gonna call it turbo braid. That's the stuff I like to use now. Braided wire, and they work pretty good. These will break off after time. I'm pretty sure that fiberglass rod goes all the way through. I've never had one of these, the poles break off on me. They've got pretty good flexibility to them. But I'm going to show you in a minute the points on these, and they're really hard to get in the ground. Just like that metal one, the other fiberglass one, and this one. At least you could drive the other fiberglass one. But when it's dry or it's cold out, these are pretty well worthless. So for me, I bought a few of them last year, and I use them in more of a permanent setting. They work okay for that. I'm trying some of the Gallaghers. Dad bought a few. I got some over at a rental farm, but they're new. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with them, so I'm not going to talk about them. But these are the knockoff O'Briens and the actual O'Briens, and these are starting to fail on me. You can see the clips break off. When it gets cold, I've broken 5 or 6 this year. These are 3 years old, so they're much better than the farm store one, but they're starting to fail. You know, I'm using them to graze my hay piles and stuff, and cattle are getting into the hay piles. It's a mess. So I won't buy any more of these knockoffs. But the big advantage, yep, and the tips are bigger on these too. The O'Brien post. If you have your go-to, and you're ready to do this for real, the O'Brien post, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 tapes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots for wire. It's got a little bitty end on it, metal ends, and I've sharpened that to a point. So I ask the people that work with me not to throw them to me, because you know, you could poke yourself. So, but when it's dry or frozen like it is, super easy to get these in, super easy to get them out. I hurt my back a couple times with those big white ones I was showing you in the beginning with the metal tip. Getting them out of a drought area, I hurt my back. It put me down for a week. So these things are a lifesaver, game changer. Metal. Let's talk about metal for a second. Using T-posts, and these this is just a fancy rebar post basically. You pound these in or whatever. You put a plastic insulator on them, and you can get by with that. Starting out, you know, to be honest, that's how I started. I've still got a bunch of metal posts, T-posts. I've got a few of these. The problem is and those are all next to my house, but I spent a lot of time growing up chasing shorts. Chasing wire that had been grounded out by deer or something else. And if you're trying to maintain your livestock, contain your livestock, and you don't want to spend every day out there searching and hunting for shorts, try to keep metal out of your fence. And if you're going to build if you're going to use an inside wire, hot wire, along an old fence, make sure that there's no wire, the loose wires or anything, barbed wire that the deer will jump through and they'll knock it over on your regular fence. You'll spend a lot of time hunting for shorts. So you can use these. I use them, have used them. I try to get away from them. Metal. But the O'Briens are awesome. I haven't had any issues with the Gallagher. They have a little bit wider tip. Didn't have any problems with them this summer, but we'll see how they last up. The O'Briens still look like they're brand new out of the box, and they're about 3 to 4 years old, most of them, and no issues. So after I got done with Greg Judy's grazing school, I came home and put some money together. So I'm going to do this for real. Had a little bit saved up. So I bought a bunch of different braided wire and a bunch of different 3-to-1 geared reels. And these, every time you crank the handle on something like this, and you can buy the single reel, the single line reels or whatever you call them. You get the cheap ones at Orscheln's. My experience, there's a bunch of those on the rental farm. They fall apart I don't know how old they are. They're probably older than anything I've got, but they just turn to junk over time. These will too. These will fall apart eventually, bouncing around and stuff. And your 3-to-1 good gear reels will too eventually, but they hold up a whole lot better. And if you're trying to save time, let's see. We're just gonna skip all this. I'll show you what I really like. If I have my Ruthers, I want this machine. I want this with an O'Brien step-in post that's been sharpened. You can move livestock, cattle, sheep, anything you want to with these. These are awesome. They're 3-to-1 geared, so every time that I spin this handle, this thing spins 3 times. It'll roll them up faster than I could walk. You do want to keep, the main thing with these, you want to keep it tight when you're rolling it up. So I've tried putting my wife on here, and I'll be sitting on the front, which I don't recommend. It's kind of dangerous rolling this up, but if you don't keep tension on this when you're reeling it up, they will get tangled. It's the only negative. So this is the Gallagher 3-to-1 geared reel, and it's got turbo wire on it, but I'm gonna buy their turbo braid. They sell it at MFA in town, and that's really handy to be able to, you know, just when you're in a pinch, just stop and pick something up. They hold up pretty well. I think these are 2 years older than any of the other reels I've got. They've got a couple different things. This is pretty good. Haven't had any issues on these yet. The guides, the handles are fine. Come with those. This one's got a few advantages I really like. It's got well, these are okay. That's the locking system. I've got one that's a little sloppy. Haven't had any issues with it, but something to, you know, I'll just watch that. Haven't had as many issues as I have with the others. This is cool. This is a locking mechanism here. So what I do is I'll put that around the pipe here on the back, and I can lock that down, or if I'm going down the road, I'll lock it on the front. And that secures your reel from bouncing off. These reels are tough. You can watch their promotional videos on them. You know, if you bounce them off, they fall off the back when you hit a bump, whatever. So you didn't have them locked down, they're going to be okay. This handle is great. It's insulated all the way around. I recommend you kill these things. You make sure that they're dead, no electric running to them before you go messing with them. Roll them up, roll them out, whatever. But you know, you get in a pinch, you're out in the field, you don't want to walk the other end. This baby's the one to have. The other thing, the bolt's pretty high. The only braided twine or braided rope or whatever that I got into trouble with, I ordered one that was a little bit thicker, and a couple of these other reels, they didn't handle it as well. This one's the Terragate, and I like them too. They're a little cheaper. I ordered these off American Grazing Lands, Jim Garrish's website. And they're fine. They've got a different locking mechanism. It's not plastic, so it can shock you. If this is hot, it will shock you. So you have to unhook these for sure. There's not any room here. There's nothing. This will catch my gloves. It'll catch my fingers. If these are frayed at all, you're slicing your fingers open. And that's not a huge deal. You can just put less twine on them. Just load less twine. But especially starting out, I was always trying to have to go get another reel to attach to these to have enough line to reach the length that I needed. So adding less twine wasn't a good option. They've got a rubber deal here, handle to keep you from getting shocked. But again, I don't mess with this. I don't like to. I kill these before I hook them up to, because you're going to get shocked. The guards on these Terragates are fine. The latches are okay. The other big issue I have is there's a bolt right here that pins this together, and those bolts are a little long, and that catches on the rope. So if you load them full of, and this is, I believe this is the rope I got from the same website. If you load them full, even if they're tight, that's still rubbing. It's still touching. So something to think about. Like I said, I really like the Gallaghers. These are fine. Of all the other brands that I bought, like I said, I got 5 or 6. The Terragates are good. This is an off-brand O'Brien knockoff. I I don't exactly remember where I got it, but this catch is gone. The guard is gone. You can see it's wrapped up, it's tangled up, it just becomes a mess. So if you're gonna get a 3-to-1 geared reel, get a good one, get a name brand reel. This is not the O'Brien, this is a knockoff that I got. My O'Brien is out. And it's pretty close to the Terragate, but there's supposed to be a catch here, and it's modeled after I believe it's modeled after the O'Brien. They may have made an update on the O'Briens. I bought these about 3 or 4 years ago and haven't bought any since. But there's supposed to be a thing here that keeps that latched up, and that's gone, so you can't. I mean, you got to get a zip tie or a piece of tape or something if you're going to hook this on the back and drive off with it. It's just junk. I just hate it. That one's no good. The other one that I really did not like was the Stay-Fix brand. It's the green one. I bought 2 of those because I thought I've heard good things about them. They seem to be similar to Gallagher. They're New Zealand made. Their other products, they seem to be good. They're geared reels, and they may have changed them, but 3 years ago, they're just horrible. They're 2 I have that I only absolutely put them up if I need to, or they're going to stay there for a long time, and I'm not going to have to mess with them. My go-to are the Gallaghers, these Terragates. But I do not like the Stay-Fix reels, and part of that is I got the thicker rope on one of those Terragates, and it doesn't roll it up as well. But I think I put one of those on a Terragate too, and it does a whole lot. It's not great, but it does a whole lot better. And I think that's what I wanted to cover as far as my rotational grazing transition over the time and kind of how I got started. I hope I didn't bore you with anything. I feel like this information is important if you're going to invest your hard-earned money. You know, you want your livestock to stay where it's going to stay. And it's cold out here, but yeah, some of these are real bad. I'll show you a video on these things, but they're just horrible. Oh, the tips. Make sure my thumb's not dead. Okay, so here's the tips on these things. This is the O'Brien, and you can, if it's frozen or dry out, you know, this little guy, he's a lot more likely to go in and not break off your post. If you put a lot of force on these, I've done it, you'll snap these things off. Not the O'Briens usually, but I'm about 250 to 260 pounds, depending on the time of year and what gear I'm wearing. You will break these if you grunt down on them. So, but comparing them to the other 2, I hope that'll focus. This is the fiberglass, and not sure how thick those are, but, and this is the other Orscheln's one. And you can see if you're trying to, I hurt my back pulling these out one time. You know, you're in a hurry. This is all made to be done quickly, efficiently. If you're trying to put these things in and pull them out as you know, you could drive by on your 4-wheeler with these, or just throw them out and they'll stick in the ground. You can, somebody walking behind you or whatever, you can hook them up. They're just fast, and it's all about, as you get better at this, it's all about time. More time for your family, more time for your livestock, more time for the other jobs you got to do. You can pick these up and move a whole lot of them with a 3-to-1 geared reel, real fast. And this is not fun. So anyway, like I said, get started somewhere. But if you're going to be doing a lot of fence, invest that money, get something good, and it really does make a difference in your quality of life. It really does make a difference in your quality of life and the quality of lives of your livestock. The improving the land, the soil health, and the environment. And rotational grazing has been life-changing for me. It's not hard, it's fast, it's easy. Cattle love it. They're getting a new fresh bite of grass, you know, every day to every 4 days, and it really helps put everything into perspective and makes it feel like everything's working together to get better. So, and I can't say that it's doubled my production. I've definitely I've been trying to run the numbers on it and compare it quite a bit here at home, and we're getting about 100 animal unit days on an acre, I would estimate, and I'd say I'm probably getting 125 comparatively with rotational grazing and good management, not just 8 paddocks, but at least 16 to hopefully 30. So it's awesome. It's going to make you more profitable. The animal health side, I didn't really talk about that too much, but you're getting away from your parasites and your worms. Really learn this with sheep. You've got about I don't know, 45 to 60 day parasite cycle. And if you can keep your cattle off the land and getting the bottom fescue toxicity too, if your cattle are biting the bottom 2 to 4 inches, that's really where your parasites live. It's where your fescue toxicity lives, also in the seed head. But give your land rest. It's better for it'll grow back faster. You'll break that parasite cycle for your cattle. Your cattle will have better performance because they're always getting fresh grass. They're getting the protein and energy that they need from the grass tips instead of getting down to that bottom 2 to 4 inches. And it's really a great thing to see and watch how it works. So thank you guys. Hope you get out and get some moving some livestock.